STWA writes, I have no trouble getting a layout started. I am a stick-and-go scrapper, so I cut and stick down my pattern papers and photos with no problem. But then I get stuck. After all the papers and photos are down, my process would usually be title, embellishments, and then journaling. But every time I get to the point where the photos are down, I can't seem to get anything else to look right. What should I be doing next? Glitter Girl, can you help STWA finish her pages with fabulous flair?
Of course I can. Today I'm going to walk you through a layout with two 4x6 photos, and I have 3 strategies that I hope will help you a little bit with getting unstuck in that second half of the layout process. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of breeze through the beginning bit because you're seeming okay with that, but then take a little bit more time in the embellishment this week to show you the little details and the different decisions that I'm making along the way. I have 2 photos that I'm going to be using, both landscape, and then a whole bunch of different products that I've put together. Some basic gray knee-highs and bow ties, some My Mind's Eye Sweetest Thing and collectible, some stickers from Jilly Bean Soup, and some 6x6 My Mind's Eye pattern papers, Amy Tangerine letter stickers, and some older pink glitter thickers, some washi tape from Webster's Pages, and then a variety of pattern papers. This October Afternoon stripe is actually from a Christmas collection, Make It Merry. This confetti print, or bokeh print, is by October Afternoon from their Midway collection. And it has another diagonal on the other side, but I'm going to be using this side. And then this one is actually another Christmas paper. This is from All Is Bright by Rona Farr from My Mind's Eye. But this side isn't particularly Christmassy at all, and I like the color for this layout, so I'm going to go ahead and use that. The other side is a chevron print with a little bit more to it, but I think you could make most of that work for any time of year, not just Christmas. This dress pattern sheet from Little Bo Peep by Crate Paper, which has a more baby print on the other side, but I just want the dress pattern. The only part here that really that is very obviously baby girl is that where it's labeling what the dress pattern is up here, so I'm just not going to use that bit. I'm going to cover it up with some embellishment. And oh, and this one is also from All Is Bright, that Christmas collection. This is a aqua and cream polka dot, which has some distressed paper frames on the other side. Okay, so lots to use today, but I had those Christmas papers and thought it's kind of past Christmas now, but might as well put them to use. And so quite a few of those papers are on really good discounts in the store right now. I'm going to go ahead and get the start of the layout put together, and then we can spend lots of time looking at the embellishment and some different ideas to keep you going along the way. Okay, so here's where I'm going to start with this page. I've done all the paper and photo layers, so just a double layer of pattern paper in the background. Then I put the 2 photos together, matted with 1 layer, and cut a couple different boxes that are larger than that, and then also some strips from a 6x6 paper pad to give me a little bit more color around the edge. So nothing really complicated here, and now I have this page that's ready for that second half of the process, and that was identified as being a little bit more complicated. So a few strategies to try. The first one is that I would really suggest you change the order of your process and see if that helps. For example, I don't do photos and paper, then the title, then the embellishment, then the journaling. I tend to do my embellishment always after the journaling so that I make sure I have enough room to write whatever it is that I want to write on that particular layout. So for me, the embellishment is what comes as the final step, and then I could just play around with the embellishment without any worry that I'm going to run out of space. So for me, that really helps my creative process. And there are other garden girls who try different orders or use different orders to create their pages. For example, Vilna often will mark off the space for the photo and then put the photo aside and work on the background layers for a long time before that photo comes back into the page. So it may mean that changing the order in which you create the page either gives you the variety or just lets you look at the space in a different way. Sometimes I make the embellishment without the 12 by 12 background paper picked out, and can just layer embellishments until you find something you like, and then find the background that's going to look great with that embellishment. So switch things around. So for example, I'm going to do the title and the journaling at this point, but I will put in a little bit of basic embellishment for example. So remember I said this pattern paper has this bit that I don't want to show because it doesn't match my theme. Well, that's easy. I know that I'm going to want to cover that, so I can go to it straight away. And something horizontal is what I'm going to need to cover that up, so I can start with some washi tape. And washi tape is great to be able to allocate the different spaces on your layout for embellishment. So I can look then for 2 more places that I might want to add embellishment and see if I can pull those together. I often put embellishment with the title, and I quite like to have some sort of horizontal element in place so that I can place the title there. So I'm thinking the title could go here in this space with room for embellishment around the title, and that gives me the decision of putting some embellishment somewhere on this side of the page, and preferably in between these two. So I'm thinking that that last grouping of embellishment will go right up here. I don't want it to cover up her face in the photo, so I'm just going to add it right at the edge. So that's all I'm going to do to mark out the embellishment for now, and I'm going to finish my title and my journaling before I go on to anything else. So maybe strategy 1 is to try a different order for your process in going from that half-finished page to the completed design. So here we go, title and journaling all in place, and now I know that I can embellish and embellish and embellish, and I don't have to worry about losing that room or not being able to tell that story. So my second tip is going to be one for choosing your embellishments, and that's to look at colors or collections rather than trying to go through everything and see if you can find some sort of perfect embellishment for the theme. I don't tend to use themed embellishments because a lot of my photos just wouldn't fit with a particular theme. So in this case, I'm not sure what theme I could go out and buy from a scrapbooking store to fit these photos. But I can look for plenty of things that are in the color scheme I've already created here. So I have pink and I have aqua. I have this sort of neutral mid-tone brown gray. I have a little bit more color here in that multicolored print, and this one that brings in some yellow, some rose, and even a little bit of this greenish tone that comes in between the yellow and the aqua. So I then started looking through my embellishments to find things that would go with those colors rather than being stuck on a theme. So I have some different sheets from Jelly Bean Soup, all different little pennant and flag stickers. These fold in half. They're scored in the middle, I believe. No, they're not scored, but they do bend in half really easily. So you can use them, either you can cut them and use them as 2, or you can loop them around like that and put a toothpick in between if you want, or a stick pin, anything like that. So I wouldn't ordinarily go straight to this one, for example, because I'm not using this kind of autumn toned color scheme. But if I'm looking just at single pieces, having a yellow polka dot banner is really useful. And in fact, this dark brown works really well with this print here. But I've also pulled it out in this color scheme because that gives me a little bit more option for yellow. And over here, I then have some turquoise or some gray that I can pull in. So I'm looking for color. Or if color is a difficult one for you to match, start looking at collections. So I also, when I pulled out these pattern papers, I pulled out this cut apart sheet from the same collection because I know it will coordinate with those 2 pattern papers that I've already picked out. And little pieces like this, even though they're paper, they still count as embellishments in my book. And I've got some things where I pulled one thing from a collection. So I pulled this one from The Sweetest Thing, and then thought, well, if I'm going to use this, and I have another one from that same collection, I might as well pull them out both together, because it may be that I use one piece from here and one piece from here, and if I'd left this one put away and didn't go back to look at it, I would be stuck with this one and not using one that I already had, and I would only have pulled them out because they were both from the same collection. So that works well if color isn't what's helpful straight away. But one thing I will recommend is that if you are working with color, make sure that you're pulling things that are not just the two main colors of your layout. So for example, you're seeing a lot more at this point of the pink and the aqua, but I really want to make sure that my overall color scheme doesn't just read as pink and turquoise. So I want to pull in more of this yellow in my embellishment. So that's where I'm starting here. So let's go ahead and pick some of these banner stickers. I'm going to fold them around some pretty little pins and create some embellishment groupings where I've placed the washi tape. These little stick pins that are in between the layers of the little flag pennants are from My Mind's Eye in the collectible range. They come in all sorts of different colors to match, and I've just added one each to the same places where I have the washi tape, and I'm just going to continue to build on that. So I'm going to pick up different embellishments from what I've pulled out and start adding to each one. So I have a sheet of label stickers, and I can bring in different pieces like this and layer them. So this one is pointing that direction, so I know instantly it's got to go in one of these two spots, since it's going to be then pointing in toward the important things on the page. If I put it over here, it'd be pointing off the page. So then I can just repeat that concept of layering a label over the top of the flag, and then I can look to see if I want to repeat that over here. And because this embellishment area is going to be smaller and I don't want to encroach on her face, here I have a little bit more room up here, and this one all the way across here at the bottom of the page. The label stickers are going to be too big to include here without making this seem a little bit unbalanced. So I start to look at my other embellishments, and I'm not just looking for something smaller, I can also look for things that I can cut down to be smaller. Well, it's something that's not particularly noticeable straight away, but hopefully within the pages in my album it will be noticeable that we're carrying and wearing these costumes that are made out of newsprint along with the bolder color. And one of the stickers on that Sweetest Thing sticker sheet has a newsprint to it. Now, it's not a particularly good shape for this embellishment cluster if I pop it on top, but it could work well underneath. So the other option I had was to cut it into a smaller piece, but by layering it underneath the banner instead of on top like the other two, then that changes that up a little bit. But my third tip for you when you're looking at groupings of embellishments, or the embellishment that you have across a page, even if it's not the same style of creating little groups of embellishment, is to then start looking at how you can vary the sizes and shapes of elements that you have represented there. So at the moment, everything I'm putting in this embellishment is very rectangular and very horizontal. So it's time for me to change that up with something that's more round or more fluid or even more vertical. So I'll start looking at the embellishments that I have available, and the thing that strikes me straight away is that I could add a real variety to the shapes by including the butterflies. I have two that are pink and small, so those would work well up here at the top of the page in these smaller groupings, and then I can bring the larger yellow embellishment down to the grouping where I have the most space. These are really easy to use because they're just layered stickers, so I don't have to build anything. But if something like this that's pre-made is not in your budget, you can of course use different things that you already have, like a butterfly punch perhaps, or a die cut or anything like that, and just layer a few on top of each other. with pop dots in between to get that same effect. And I was trying to get the placement right there so that I could make sure that the bottom of the stick pin is underneath the sticker, and I will try and get the bottoms of these two tucked away. This one's not too bad because it goes underneath the photo mat, but I don't like to leave the points of the stick pins there on the page, partly because when you put them in your album they get stuck on the page protector, but also just because I think when you see a pin on the table, it kind of sets off that slight alarm bell in your head that it needs to be put away so that you don't get stuck with it, even inside the page protector. So I like to make sure the ends are taped down or have something else layered on top. But what I want to do now with each of these groups is to continue to add a little bit more variety to the size and shape. So for example, here I have little round stickers I could use and include that newsprint motif again. I'm just going to add some ink to this one. I didn't add ink to all of the embellishment pieces. I know, stop the press. But this piece will have a little bit more contrast with that inking around the edge and be easier to see. So I have a few more of these, and that way I can include them as well. Just repeat these that give me a little variety in the shape. And then sometimes the embellishments will actually start telling you what to do. So with those stickers in the little circles, I had a 1, a 2, a heart, and an and. And it's from quite a sweet little collection. And so you might think that the and and the heart, you're looking at labeling two people in a couple. But if you're just using the and I'm not putting hearts and all sorts of lovey-dovey things all over this page, there's no reason why I can't use that and between anything else. So in this case, because the journaling is about how I met this particular person in the photo, I can use the and for our initials because this tells the story of how we met and how we became friends. That works out easily, and I have my little letter stickers. Can you say that 5 times fast? Little letter stickers. And here, and haven't put those away just yet, so I can tie that into the title by bringing up those letters there. I actually think I'll bring them up a little bit higher so that it reads with the ampersand in the middle. So sometimes the embellishments themselves will just naturally tell you what should go with that grouping. It's also then great to use something that's a different medium. So far, these embellishments are totally made from stickers with the exception of the stick pens and the washi tape. But it would be great to bring in something else. So I could bring in gems, I could bring in ink, I could bring in enamel dots, something else to add a little bit of variety to the material as well as the shape and size. Things like pearls, rhinestones, and enamel dots can all be used in exactly the same way. They just peel and stick, so it's really, really simple to add them to your page. I went with the pearls because that was the best color match for what I had in my collection and this particular layout. And I look for places where there's an edge to the embellishment. And then I use 3 to form a triangle somewhere in or around that embellishment. And for different things, I'll put them either close together, so this one is a small grouping with a small triangle, and then this one is a larger grouping with a larger triangle. Really, really simple. And then I'm going to bring in a bit of mist as well. But I fully understand that this may be a point where you would stop and not want to add any more. So in this case, I'm going to add a little bit of Heidi Swap Color Shine ink in the mint green. And just tapping it a little bit around the embellishments. And you won't do what I just did. You'll cover up your photos. You don't make that silly mistake. I normally do, and then I got carried away, and see what happens. I'll have to clean up this photo now. I'm almost done at this point. I'm just going to add a few little finishing touches. I'm going to use my date stamp just here at the bottom. We'll see if I can get it on the first go. Last week I had to go back and stamp it again, and this time I need to get that date right. I've unfortunately put that pearl No, I'm going to have to fix it. I'll stamp it on another bit of paper and layer it over the top. That's a bit better. I've stamped it onto this label sticker. And then I can just cover up that horrible stamping job there. And I can bring this pearl back and maybe separate it out a little bit more. I still have a triangle there. It's just wider than the original placement. And I know I wanted to cover up the bottom of this pin. The other two have ended up covered up quite well, but this one hasn't. So I'm going to have a look at everything I have left here to see if there's something that might just work as something that would fit in this little gap. And I'm thinking this sticker here is a good one that could just come in that space. Yep. So ink that so it's got just a little bit more contrast of the edge because of the aqua is going to overlap another piece of aqua paper. And there we go. Now, your layout challenge this week then is really easy because what I'm going to do is ask you to make a page and embellish it and upload it. But here's the trick. In the comment box below your layout, I would really love to hear from you how you added your embellishment. Give us some of your tips for that second half of the scrapbooking process. Maybe tell us about what order you place things in, or if you have a certain way of choosing your embellishments or laying them out on the page. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.
Join us next week for the continuing adventures of Glitter Girl and the ongoing mystery of the scrapbooker behind the mask at 2peasinabucket.com.